Nightmare Ariel, and you're watching Mission Boxing Today on YouTube.
Heavyweight boxing fans, what's the deal? All right, let me turn this down, man. Watching college basketball. Let me turn this down real quick. All right. So somebody sent me a link of the article on Boxing Scene. Shouts out to Boxing Scene. Luis Ortiz came out and said that Jarrell Miller is going to have to back up the crap he's been talking. We know Jarrell Miller has voiced his opinion about fighting Luis Ortiz. He says, hey, I'll fight the guy. But if I fight him, I just want, in return, if I beat him, I want his mandatory position so I can fight the winner out of the Anthony Joshua versus Vladimir Klitschko for that WBA title. Pretty much everybody that is rated ahead of Jarrell Miller in the WBA pretty much is going to be busy with fights. Fred Zakendo and Shannon Briggs, they're fighting each other for that regular WBA title. The last I checked, if I'm wrong, please leave it in the comments section, but the last I checked, the WBA has ordered the winner out of Akendo and Briggs to fight Ustinov. Klitschko obviously is getting ready to fight. David Haye, who's rated ahead of Miller, really doesn't seem like he would want to, like he's in, wants a heavyweight title shot right now at the moment. I'm sure if Joshua were to win, then he'll probably, come out the woodwork and voice his opinion, because that's the guy that Haye has been really wanting to fight is Anthony Joshua. All right, but I'm trying to think who else is rated ahead of him. Manuel Charr is also rated ahead of him, but he's rated highly. I think he's number 8. You know what I mean? And he's in the top 10 of 3 of the sanctioning bodies, Miller. And I think he's number 12 or 13 by the WBC. So he's highly rated in all the sanctioning bodies, okay? Let me just go over what Luis Ortiz said about Miller. He says, I can't speak on Miller as a fighter because I haven't seen him fight. But people have told me he is talking a bunch of crap about me. He might talk his way into a fight he can't get out of. I say be careful what you say. They might give it to you. Then what? We will see if it's all bark. Okay. Interesting comments. Now, am I going to call Luis Ortiz a liar? To say he's never seen Jarrell Miller fight. He probably haven't seen the guy fight. You know what I mean? You guys would be surprised, man. A lot of these fighters that I speak to or come in contact with, I'll bring up certain guys and they'll say, who the hell is that guy? Like they've never heard of some of the other up-and-coming contenders or prospects, So maybe Luis Ortiz has just been focusing on guys like Wilder, Joshua, Klitschko, the Povetkin's, those type of guys, all right? But let me just say this, man. And I got this from Jarrell Miller himself. We went back and forth. We were texting each other. And he told me, all right, that he was already offered Luis Ortiz last year. He fought Donovan Dennis on January 22nd. He told me 3 weeks after that fight with Dennis, 3 weeks after, so like February 13th, somewhere around there, he gets a call, him and his people get a call to fight Luis Ortiz. Now, Luis Ortiz went on, the fight date in D.C. was March 5th. That's literally 3 weeks to prepare for Luis Ortiz. He told me that they gave him 3 weeks notice and they're going to give him $225,000 to fight Luis Ortiz. And around this same time, it's kind of ironic when they were looking for an opponent, it ended up being Tony Thompson. I came out with a video on May 19th of last year. Andy Ruiz Jr. came out. You guys can look it up. I did the video. Andy Ruiz Jr. came out and said, hey, I'll fight Luis Ortiz too, but you guys aren't going to give me a 4-week camp though. He was another guy that they offered a short camp to prepare for Luis Ortiz. Now, if you think Luis or if you think Andy Ruiz Jr. is lying or whatever, that's fine. But that's what he came out and said. I did a video about it. And Jarrell Big Baby Miller said the same thing, that he was offered the fight last year. Now, fast forward to this year. So, yeah, maybe Luis Ortiz doesn't watch his fights, but I know his people know who Jarrell Miller is because they offered him a fight on 3 weeks' notice for $225K. So his people and his team know who he is. You know what I mean? I like that they have a dialogue going in the press with each other pretty much. Jarrell Miller's came out and voiced his opinion about wanting to fight Ortiz. He let it be known to Eddie Hearn that he'll fight him. And now Luis Ortiz has came back and say, hey, pretty much saying, is he going to back up all this shit talk? Pretty much say, hey man, let's get the fight. Is pretty much what he's saying, in my opinion, in a nutshell. Eddie Hearn wants to have the card here in the States, which is great for me as a fan, because then I can watch, Luis Ortiz live. But I think, the fight should be in Brooklyn. I think that'd be a good look, man. The Barclays is on fire right now with over the past few years with the cars they've been having there. It's becoming a hotbed now, man. It's not just Vegas, you know what I mean, or Atlantic City or the Garden in New York. Now you got the Barclays in Brooklyn, and it's a hotbed right now. So Jarrell Miller's from Brooklyn. Brooklyn's known for having its, fair share of heavyweights throughout history. And to me, man, like I told Jarrell when we were texting each other, I told him, like, look, man, this is possibly one of the best non-title heavyweight fights that can be made right now. Now, there are some other fighters that we can get them to fight, and they'll be great fights. I mean, you still got guys like, Dillian White out there, and Stavern, and Pulev, and Povetkin, and Gerald Washington, and there's all types of other guys, man. But this right here, though, is, in my opinion, you may have a different opinion, but in my opinion, Miller versus Ortiz is one of the best non-title heavyweight fights that can be made right now. Both guys can punch. Luis Ortiz needs a translator, but he talks a lot of shit too, man. Luis Ortiz, he's been calling out everybody too. He'll come back at you if you talk shit, and then we know Jarrell Miller's going to make it. We know he has something to say, so he's going to sell the fight on his end. Hey, man, let's just make this fight. Hopefully Eddie Hearn can get the money right. And it's still January, and they're talking about, Eddie Hearn's talking about, possibly having a fight in April. So there's still time. Hopefully they get the money right. I believe the article that I read, Jarrell said that the money was cool. He liked the money. He just wants, what's the incentive? Like, if I beat Ortiz, then what? Like, nobody wants to beat Luis Ortiz and then nothing comes of it. You know what I mean? Then you're back to fighting journeyman on the next card. It shouldn't be that way. I think if he beats Ortiz, he should be able to take his mandatory spot. He is an undefeated fighter. He's also ranked by that sanctioned body. He's rated number 8. So it's not like he's not rated and all this. No, he's rated highly. You know what I mean? So what do you guys think about this, man? I like that Luis Ortiz has voiced his opinion about Jarrell Miller. It just gives me a feel, of that this fight may come together, man. So there's definitely some dialogue there. Hearn wants Ortiz back in the ring in April. I'm sure Ortiz wants to get back in the ring. Miller wants to fight too. He just wants some type of incentive if he beats Ortiz. And I agree with him on that, But yeah, this fight was offered. Ortiz versus Miller was put on the table last year. Shit, about a year. Yeah, like exactly last year. Well, a little under a year, but you guys get what I'm saying, though, because they offered him to fight in February 13th. He told me it was around that date, you know what I mean? And that was literally 3 weeks away from the fight date in March. So I wouldn't have been too happy with that type of, only 3 weeks. I mean, it's one thing if a guy gets like a month and a half. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've came out and said that, this guy should take that fight. But at least it was like a month and a half. I mean, literally not even a full month to train and get ready for that fight. And you just got done fighting 3 weeks, before that. Now, some of you may say, well, hey, he should still be in shape. But it's just about you want to heal, get your proper rest. And then, then you go back and train and get back in the gym. You know what I mean? And take that fight. But 3 weeks to me is not enough time. I mean, it's one thing, like I said, a month and a half, but 3 weeks, I mean. So I'm just getting this information out there, man. You guys let me know what you think in the comments section. Eddie Hearn, Jarrell Miller, all the parties that are involved, the managers, the promoters, whoever. Man, let's just get this fight made, man. This is a hot fight. Let's get this fight made. You guys let me know what you think about the fight, about what Luis Ortiz had to say, Jarrell Miller, the fight being offered to Miller last year. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section. I'm out.